Welcome to Cyber Podcast, the Audible African Woman Kenya Election Series. And I am so excited to have a guest who is Wanjiru Nguhi, who is known for many things. And today we might be touching on misinformation and gender misinformation and how online platforms have either helped democratic processes and women and all that. But this episode is about talking about we think that online processes or online platforms are actually better in terms of allowing young women interact with the democratic processes. And for the most, it has been, especially first-time voters.
Yes.
But then the question is, what do you think in terms of sexual harassment and online gender-based violence against women and how that has affected how women interact with political information?
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. Before we even talk about, how these things affect women, I think it would be important for us to begin with understanding like the different mis and disinformations. So we have misinformation, which is where, you share false information about someone, but then it's innocently you're sharing because you do not know and you're not aware that it is false. And then there's the disinformation where you're sharing false information deliberately. You either create it or you share it knowing that this is false, and you're sharing it with the intention to deceive and the intention to harm. And then now we have the gender disinformation where it could be both innocently and deliberately, where you are sharing or creating this. I mean, obviously, if you're creating disinformation, then it means that you're creating it with the intention to deceive and to harm someone.
Yeah.
But then when you're sharing it, sometimes it will get to, and then you will share it without knowing, that you're sharing this kind of thing because of the cultural the cultural landscape of our society. It's much easier to share rumors about people.
Exactly.
Either because you want to prove a point, it confirms your bias, all these things about that. So when we're looking at online platforms, there has been a very interesting trend where we've seen the incel culture really thrive. And the incel culture here, I'm talking about the platforming of sexist and misogynistic views and ideas. And these things have gone like they have a huge following.
That's true.
And they're really platformed. And some of them are even making money in countries like America and things like that. And so with this kind of culture, it makes it very easy for women to be a target of this kind of gender disinformation, because even the people who are receiving this information about women, it will be easy for them to, one, believe it, and two, to share it, because it already confirms
Our social norms.
Yes, and their
existing.
sexist and their sexist and misogynistic views they have on women.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you will think that this is a man thing, that it's only men who do this kind of thing, but even women. We've seen a lot of women have very problematic sexist takes, and we've seen women also bully other women online.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's a very important point, because when we think about sexism, we always think of the perpetrators being men.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, a majority of them, yes, are men, but then we've also seen women, and we call them, the pick me. You just want it to look a certain way to this man, without forgetting that the same knife that you're using for another woman is the same knife. It will be taken from your hands and stabbed. Even you the same. And we've seen women who have come out as anti-feminist women, and still being attacked on the same way that they attack women. So I don't know why, as a woman, you would fight your own goal. Like you would really score your own goal like that. But
I guess
we've
it's
seen
because
it
systems
happen.
are
Yes.
people are, I mean, systems are made of people.
Yes.
Now the question is, do you think in the in the current Kenyan election, the upcoming Kenyan election,
Yeah.
that has that dissuades women voters in, one, experiencing political processes, but also getting political information?
Okay. Number one, getting political information. The thing about political information is that if you don't know where to get this political information, then you will not know where to get this. Like if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
And that's
true.
the thing that we are struggling with. Like a lot of political information, and also a lot of this information. When you look at how it's distributed in very what's the word, in very exclusive ways. So if you don't know that there's a page you can go to, like there's a page called Afro Cave, on Facebook, on Twitter, where they do every process of the government you can get it on Afro Cave.
Okay.
And his name is Gidenji. Hi Gidenji. We've never met, we've really never met, but I think he does such a great job, and it's just very simple. But not many people know about this. I think there's a lot about political I mean, we probably need to be creative, when it comes to how we disseminate political information and who we involve in the disseminating of this political information, so that even the audiences that we draw audiences that are young women, older people, so that it's not just one tone of how to give political information. And so I would really encourage young women, especially if you've practiced the law or if you know a bit of civic education, you can do political content creation, like what Silantoi is doing. And also I was also doing that before I became now very busy. But it is very important to see many women and many young women do this kind of political education, so that because it encourages other people to have these kinds of conversations. But when these conversations are just men talking about politics, just men doing civic education online, then it's almost like, okay, so we need to see, yes, and we need to be more creative with how we disseminate this information, so that we have a larger audience as well.
You know what, your point for me makes it sad, because I think for the longest time, young women are not able to involve themselves in physical barazas.
Yes.
And with online platforms, I thought that would be easier, but it looks like the same social norms, harmful social norms that we have physically in physical spaces are the same social norms. And perhaps because these things are anonymous, are more nuanced on online platforms.
Yeah. And the thing about online platforms, obviously, we have platforms that are more toxic than other platforms, more platforms where the incelness and the sexism is more pronounced than other platforms. Twitter, number one, I think, is the leading, and so women will most likely not even be involved in a Twitter conversation. And your Twitter conversations are very loud, and they're very
combative.
They're very combative. So you really have to come there with all your armor and everything. But then I don't think that. I mean, I understand why women would shy away from these platforms, but then also, if you like, the point of violence and the point of this online bullying is to keep you away from these spaces.
That's
so
true.
if you stay away from these spaces, then they win. And I understand that staying on these spaces then means that it comes at such a personal cost, and that is where now we have like layered responsibilities with regard to how can we now then have conversations about safe digital. How can women be safe on the digital platforms where we can engage without the danger of being bullied? And even if we're being bullied on these platforms, then there are serious consequences that should, deter these people from bullying young women. Yes.
So coming to, what are the ways that we can hold people accountable? What are perhaps the responsibilities of us as young women?
As young women.
But also the people who run these platforms.
Okay, so number one, for young women, I think it's important that you realize that the idea of young women occupying space is still something that people hold. It's a very uncomfortable thing. Like, who do you think you are? Why are you here? Why are you loud? Why are you? Don't you have other things to do? So you need to know that it is your right to occupy space, that you have an opinion, and we need to hear that opinion. Because of your opinion, like, the world will change because of your opinion.
It counts.
Your opinion counts. Your voice counts. Whatever it is you have to say, it counts, right? And number two, when it comes to digital safety, there are small things you can do, like making sure your account is secure so that you're not hacked. Making sure, and I know I don't like operating in fear, but sometimes
it's caution.
So like, if you're going to take any pictures, you have to be careful about the location where you are. You cannot say like your true exact location at the particular time you're there. So maybe, just understand, when can you post, when can you not, when can you tell people where you are, when can you not tell people where you are? Because the thing about online violence is that it's not just online violence. Sometimes it follows you.
It follows you into the physical.
So when people know where you are, it is possible for someone to come and attack you because they've seen where you are.
Oh, this is true.
Yes. And then again, online violence is violence. I think that's something that people do not understand. Like, online violence is violence.
This is.
It is violence.
It almost looked as something else, or something softer or subtle.
No,
like, it didn't happen to you, or doesn't affect you.
But it happened, because violence is violence, regardless of the platform, the way, the means, the form, the shape. Violence really is violence. So if you can protect yourself from that, then do that. Another thing that I like is the idea of an army. So that if, for example, I see you being attacked online, you might not have the courage to go after the people who are attacking you. But because it's not me being attacked, we shall fight. We shall fight. And then when you see
organize.
You organize, so that when you see someone being attacked or someone being bullied, you don't keep quiet and say, wow. They are cooking you.
These days young girls have it hard on.
It's so hard. Wow. Hey, Nikubai, and then you scroll. No, don't just scroll, especially with someone you know. Stand with them. fire for fire, even you. And then when I mean, that kind of solidarity online, it really, really helps. But that's just interpersonal responsibility. There's now the responsibility that now we can ask, and I think this is a conversation that we will have, with the social media platforms, where we are telling them, if there's an account, we will point out the accounts that are very that are accounts that do a lot of what's the word, serial sexist and misogynistic accounts, and have those accounts shut, or have
flag
banned,
them,
or flag them, or things like that. And if you see someone being flagged, these accounts as well, so that they're reported, and so that we know that this is a trend, this is what is going on, and it needs to be stopped. If someone is for example, if someone is trending because they're being attacked, like we've seen women trending just and these things are usually organized on a Telegram group. So these men gather in a Telegram group. They decide we're going to come for this person, and then the next morning you wake up, you're trending pictures, you're trending, you're being insulted.
Deep fakes, shallow fakes, everything.
All the fake. You're trending. They are saying things about you, and yet these people, they would never say that to you in your face.
That's true.
So if we can have, like, because at the end of the day, we cannot say that we can have a lot of personal responsibility that overpasses, And then there's also, of course, the conversation about how do we even, like, on a legislation level, what can we do with regard to digital citizenship? What do we need? Any kind of policy? Do we need CAK to come in and just have a
frameworks.
Or a framework or something. But then this is a conversation that we as citizens need to start, because when the government begins that conversation, then it becomes more of silencing and censorship than actually giving us a framework where we can still exercise our freedom of expression, but without harming each other.
Yeah, because as it is, there's nothing that is actually ever done.
There's nothing that is actually ever done. And I think that even the courts need to, like, we need an example out of someone. I know
a few people I would want them to example of.
Yes, we need examples. If you've been serially attacking women, and we need these examples. Like Liwe Funzo, you cannot just wake up every day. Exactly. And also I think and it's also important to also target where the money hurts, because I see a lot of these influencers, they begin their careers from at like having very angry or angering posts, and then now they get the engagement. Then with that engagement, they use that to leverage for reach. Like, I have this reach because see how people react. And yet what you're doing is manufacturing anger and manufacturing pain, just so that you can get. So if also agencies can be told that these people, this and this and this is a sexist person, if you give them work or if you give them money, then we are also coming for you, then it becomes an easier conversation to have.
This is true. I mean, it's interesting how that, this is to end up our conversation, how sexism that we see play out in physical places can be used to deter women engaging. And of course, that affects how they vote or how they interact with, general democratic processes.
Yeah.
You know what? You didn't introduce yourself.
I didn't. Yes. This is where's my camera? This is my
So please introduce yourself and
this is such a Kenyan behavior.
Also, you and I.
Okay, my name is Wanjiru. My name is Wanjiru Nguhi. And number one, I am a podcaster. I have a podcast called Mine is a Common Podcast. And I'm also the program manager at Fumbua Campaign. And the Fumbua Campaign is a collaborative journalism project, that aims to deal with dis, and malinformation.
Wanjiru, thank you so much for your insights. And that misinformation is just misinformation. There's a gendered part of it. And if we just, just get everything together, we miss some of these things that deter women in engaging on online platforms for political and democratic processes. Now, thank you very much. We will be seeing you. I hope you're voting. But you will, of course, you're voting.
Me,
right?
I'm voting, yes.
Yeah,
kura, lazima tupige kura.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been Swaiba, the African Woman, the Kenya Election Series, where we talk about how women experience elections. And today we spoke about how women experience online political engagement and how misinformation and disinformation can actually dissuade them from engaging. Asanteni sana. See you. Share, like, and subscribe.